By the Nigerian Constitution, the three branches of government should be independent. But in practice, the legislature and judiciary in the state are subordinate to the executive. This has led to lack of development and democratic accountability in the state. For this reason, there has been clamor to amend the constitution to entrench the financial independence of the legislature and the judiciary. Now, a proposal for the financial independence of the legislature in the state has been sent to the House of Assembly in the state.
Interestingly, the state houses of assembly have rejected financial independence. Early this week, the Imo State House of Assembly rejected the constitutional amendment to grant financial independence to the state legislature. What does this ironic action mean for democracy and accountable government in Nigeria? And can we secure the independence of the other branches of government? To answer these questions, we have with us in the studios a rights analyst, associate professor of law, Sam Amadi. Very warm welcome, Sam.
Thank you.
Can a man deny himself his own freedom on a platter of gold?
Well, we have this concept of this Stockholm syndrome, where people seem to, surprisingly fall in love with those who are hurting them, jail them, and they love them, maybe from too much deprivation and conditioning. Again, what we've seen actually is that some of these actors who are legislators, and that's a good question, they are the ones that have been empowered by these amendments, and the idea is so that they will be independent enough to discharge one of the core functions of legislature, which is oversight. Don't forget that they have a power to impeach. They never really used it except under Obasanjo, where under pressure, people say that the EFCC put pressure on some people.
Some kangaroo impeachment that we saw there.
But we've not seen willful, determined, intentional action to even censure state governors. So now
we saw that in the Second Republic.
We never see it now.
In
exactly.
Old Kano State, where Balarabe Musa
was the governor. Even Imo State in those days, see people like now former lawyer to Buhari, was that his lawyer, who shows determination to fight the governor. Now, but what we are seeing, the critical crisis here is, the idea is that if you give them financial autonomy, they will regain that agency as a legislative body to interrogate, discuss, and even make laws for the good governance of the states.
Why have they chosen to be subservient here to the apron stranglehold of the governors?
For three reasons. One, many of these guys were pre-selected by governors. I mean, we saw a tradition starting from 1999, when Obasanjo was there, and this massive need for grandfather politics. So the governors who were with him had leeway. They appoint all kinds of ministers. If you look at the profile of those who became ministers, became senators, many of them were not really qualified for anything. It's loyalty. So a governor like Chimaroke, or like any of those governors who are close to Obasanjo, or even the governor of Imo State then, they all choose those they can trust, number one. Today, Hope, as governor, APC, if you look at the candidates, there are people he can trust. The guy who's a deputy speaker in Imo State House of Assembly, Amara, the son of a well-respected China Wanyango, is a guy who was a PA to a senator a couple of hours until they came to Abka. Then Iran won because that place was ceded to that Isna. So he won. And then when Hope emerged, they changed. And then he is now the godfather. So every instruction from the state governor gets driven down. And so if you look at the profile of the people there, first, they don't have people who are professional, or like in the Second Republic. You see academics, professors, established businessmen get into the House of Assembly, and you have the independence. Two, if we test this new electoral system and we see that these big guys don't determine outcome, they will encourage people to run on their own. So somebody can say, look, you know what, I can run an election and win. So they will not, first, to win a primary, to win a ticket of your party, you have to be the lapdog of the governor. To even win the election, which the governor will probably write the result. So the fact of driving this is their own lack of profile. Two, the political environment and the electoral system that hitherto we're just going to test this one now, has given these governors and some other political potentates the right of life and death. And so many people don't have that capacity to say, you know what, I take a risk. I do my job and I get bopped off.
So much for separation of powers. But several attempts to liberate the third tier of government, hits brick wall. Whether you look at President Muhammadu Buhari's Executive Order 10, that got thrown out by the Supreme Court. So how do we then liberate the third tier of government? Or perhaps the important question is, does the Constitution even recognize the third tier of government? If it does, why can't we get them liberated?
First of all, we don't even need, it's a bigger question, do we really need to change the Constitution to get them liberated? The Constitution is very clear that the power of lawmaking is Section 4 on the legislature. There's no problem about that. Now, assuming if an legislature makes a law and says, give yourself self-autonomy, financial autonomy, it's a law of the state. So what's missing here is, can our politics evolve to match our constitutional pretense? He made a good point. When would a man reject his freedom? It's when a man has been so subjected. Our system, that's why it's classified as hybrid democracy. It's democratic in principle. It's democratic in process, structure, in law. But the spirit, the norm organizing it is not democratic. So I can argue that the Constitution has given enough independence to this arm. What is missing is that there's no, the notion of democracy is competition of will. People are self-asserting. They express themselves, people choose. But democracy here is that people, it's like a construct of client-principal relationship. So we are misaligning a culture of hero worshipping, authoritarian logic, to a democratic process that says, look, I am the people's rep. You see what's going on in the US now, what's going on in the Congress, on Capitol. Some legislators fight against their party. Some go there to fight against the president. Some have agenda they are pushing and working around to make sure they build a coalition to win. But in our own case, this is like another employment. You probably, you're a mechanic or you're a guy do your shop somewhere in Alaba, and then somebody taps on you to take this ticket. And you see your job as going there to share with the governor the money, for the State Assembly. Half of them have been in Abuja here, doing nothing.
So it tempers, the political nomenclature that former governor of Ekiti State, Fayose, dropped when he said stomach infrastructure. And if you ask that, it's basically what is happening with the Imo State House of Assembly legislators.
Basically.
And secondly, why is that spirit of republicanism in the Southeast?
Good question to ask. You see, if you look at the history of colonial rule, this democracy has destroyed republicanism. That is why if you go to the Professor Eke wrote about two publics. So if you go to your communities,
Claude Eke.
No, the other Eke, Peter Eke, he said, if you go to your communities, there's democracy. Now, if you go to a typical Imo community in Abuja meeting, nobody can write roughshod. But the structure of democracy in Nigeria makes it difficult for accountability. So it's a good question. We're a Republican people, but toward the Southeast, you see lots, whether it's Ebonyi, where one man sits like a lord and drive everybody, or Imo State. The point is that until we democratize this politics enough that people are empowered, free, through electoral reform, so people can say, you know what, we don't want you. And there's no way you can game that system. And that's why until we simplify voting so that this complication, people are tired, people are hungry. Think about this. I heard you talk about the students who are in school. Now, many of these students may not vote because to take 2,000 or 12,000 to move from your school to home to vote and come back, that logistics can deprive you. But think about where you can just walk around and vote because you are captured with national database. So if we improve our democracy and really democratize the locale in a way that people have control, then you see that republicanism move from community meetings to government. As it is today, democracy has become an abstraction, a distortion of the people's communal self-governance.
Is that also a function of the constitution we have, which a lot of people have faulted? And ironically, it is in the process of being amended that we have these issues arising.
The problem is less constitutional than normative. It's a process of people who have been castrated, people who have been disregarded, people who have been imprisoned, that needs a fire. so that they can come up and reassert their agency. 3 things to do that. 1, electoral reform. We're getting there. Once it's easy to vote out these Draculas, people recover their power. 2, people now know that this is not about money. It's about public interest. So the right kind of guys, what we call virtue politics, people who have commitment to public good, gets in there and says, Governor, I'm here to serve my constituency. I'm not here for the next audition for the next job or to get money. That's why we can solve this problem. Not even if you amend the constitution, they will sit on top of that constitution and say, we don't want financial autonomy. Governor, carry go.
And that's what your people
that's
in State
that's what they're doing. And across other states, though.
Thanks so very much. Your people have taken the lead.
Well, badly and sadly too.
Dr. Sam Amadi, a Arise analyst and an associate professor of law. Thanks for coming.